Hello everyone and welcome to episode number 5 of the Londonverse Tour. I am your host ScottBGaming and today we'll be looking at a little known promotion as Canadian Championship Wrestling or 2CW. From what we can see on the front of the screen here, I've actually gone into the game and simmed up until their very first show. They do have a weekly TV show. We'll see that very shortly, so fortunately we don't have to skip through all the days with the information taking place in the background. We can get right into it off the bat. And interestingly enough, what you'll see shortly is that one of the members of the roster has already been approached by another company based in Canada to go work for them. So fortunately he'll be around for this show at the very least, and to be fair, I have taken his job as he was the booker of 2CW before I took his role. Okay, as you can see, James' avatar. Again, I've put the default stats on, so nothing particular one way or the other as far as what I'm good at and what I'm bad at. It's just the default settings. Let's maximise that. And we can see a lot of stuff has happened here around the Londonverse world in general, but that's not what we're interested in. No, we want to see what's happening in 2CW. And 2CW hasn't actually been covered at this point up in a video, as far as I'm aware. I think it was one of the later promotions that were, or the latter promotions that were added into the database. So this will be a nice little treat for everyone, get to see some new characters that they might not have come across before. So let's get stuck in with the hub of the 2CW promotion. Kablamo, here we are. As we can see, the next show is 2CW Traditional Combat, which is airs every Thursday night. We're at cult size, which is pretty good, 17th, so middle of the pack for the grand scheme of things as compared to the other promotions in the data. 5 million in the bank, pretty handy. As you can see from the messages, James' avatar needs to be assigned a position on the roster. It's me, I'm good, we're golden, don't worry about this. Donald Michaels is a manager without any clients. Is there anything sadder in this world? Probably. But no. Let's get right into the meat and potatoes of this bad boy, yeah? We will have a look first of all at the roster. And here we go. Ooh, starting off with an Argentinian in a Canadian promotion, are you sure? Yes, I am. Angel Romero, or Angel Romero, depending on how you want to pronounce it. I'll go for how I want to pronounce it, which will be correctly from this point forward. He's a lightweight, he's an opener, his momentum is crap, he's face, but he's a fan zone, you know, the crowd rally behind him, he's the little man that could. That sounds like a euphemism, it's not, that wasn't the intention. I don't think he's particularly great, to be honest, especially in a company of cult size. Very much just there to make up the numbers, to be quite honest. So he starts off on a bit of a flat note, but you know, I could see potential in him maybe if his stats develop in the way that you would hope they would, seeing as he's only 28 years of age and still classed as a young lion, although that is irrelevant in Canada. We will move on now to Kane Gordon. Now I like this render, me personally. I think he's got something about him, je ne sais quoi, as the French would say, or the French Canadians. Lightweight competitor again, but he is an upper mid-carder, got the cool gimmick. I think that goes with the facial hair tattoo and earpiece combination that you can see from this gentleman. Also the raising of one eyebrow, that is automatically a sign of coolness allegedly. But he's very good in as far as chain wrestling and mat wrestling, and you can see the submission work on the right hand side of your screen there. He's a pretty useful guy to have around. Not only that, but he's entertaining as well. I could see him very much being a main event player pretty soon after the game starts. However, he is in a tag team at this point, one half of the new school with Sullivan Fortune, who we'll see a bit later on. I like this guy though, he's one of my favourites in the promotion. Captain Canada. Now you may recognise this gentleman, he's one of the earlier renders I did for this game, and he also features on the Yoshida poster, which will be at the beginning of this video and also in the banner on my YouTube channel. Not necessarily one of the best characters in the game, but he has a very patriotic theme to him, and Yoshida liked the look of him and wanted to put him in the poster. I didn't have a problem with it. Not only that, but you know, he's different, isn't he? Well, he's not. He's a masked worker from Canada, which I think are pretty thin on the ground anyway as far as masked workers. He may be one of the very few that are in the data at this point at least. 41 years of age, he's been around for quite some time. I think he was at one time pretty popular in Canada in general. But now he's kind of falling into the kind of background scene. He is still classed as a main eventer for the promotion. His best days are certainly behind him, as far as I'm concerned. But, you know, Similar in a way to how we saw Highlander in SWC in episode 4, which if you haven't seen I would recommend checking that out. It was quite an entertaining episode if I do say so myself. Captain Canada is there to serve a purpose, to kind of help the next generation along and give them a bit of a rub for, being a bigger star that he is in comparison to a lot of the other workers on the roster. His stats, as far as in-ring wise, aren't great, but he does have good basics in psychology as well as consistency in selling. He's possibly not a main eventer after maybe a month or so of playing the game. At least I'd try and fade him down the card ever so slightly, but he'd be on the card, he'd get a pop. He is Mr. Canada. He's Captain Canada, but he's Mr. Canada with a maple leaf in tow. Move on now to Chester Hamilton. Now, Chester Hamilton is a former wrestler who now turns colour commentator, as we see oftentimes in the real world. His announcing is okay. He does have charisma though, so he's got that going for him, and I think he works quite well with the other member of the broadcast booth who we'll see pretty soon. I believe his name's Smith Arringer. I think that's the name. Well, Smith Arringer's certainly on the roster. Whether he's the other part of the commentary team, I'm not entirely sure at this point. I believe he is though. It probably says in the bio, but I'm trying to make eye contact and connect with you on a deeper level, something less superficial, as it were. I quite like the render actually as well, and I think it'd be quite fun to have him in a potential future database release set in the 80s or 90s of the Londonverse. Not saying that's happening, but again, I'm not saying it's not happening. So again, we'll have to see down the road. Nothing's been set in stone. And we will now move on to Christoph Paternoster, or Paternoster. I'm going to say Paternoster. Sounds like a piece of equipment you'd have in your kitchen. Darling, have you got the Paternoster on the go? Yeah, I've got the Paternoster on the go. I mean, that's what it's for. It's a Paternoster. But anyway, this is Christoph Paternoster. So I think he's, again, got quite an interesting render. This is when I was kind of going for the big eyebrow look, I think. I do think he's kind of got a bit of an it factor about him in a similar way to Kane Gordon. A lightweight competitor, mid-carder. He's got the gimmick of the sexiest man alive, kind of going for the Canadian new age model. Not like Rick Martel, but kind of if Rick Martel's brought into the current age and had a bit more of a kind of rougher edge to him as opposed to the clean cut, grease to the gills, oily orange skinned, walking piece of humanity that he was back in the day. I like Christopher Paternoster. I believe he is part of a tag team himself actually. Let me see if it says in the bio, because I don't think I can remember off the top of my head. Let's have a look. The French Connection with Jerome De Rossi, that's it. Jerome De Rossi, who we'll see shortly, who also is pretty decent, it has to be said. His in-ring stuff is pretty good, and he is only 27 years of age, so again, a potential breakout singles star in the future. The only problem with 2CW is that they're not the biggest company in Canada. That honour goes to the NWA, so we'll see them shortly in another video down the road. Haven't decided when I'm going to film that one yet, but a lot of their stars I could certainly see being pinched to the NWA, who are almost on the cusp of going up to the level where they can offer pretty decent contracts to people that 2CW wouldn't be able to compete with and would have to look to fill the void that these players like Christoph Paternoster leave. Yeah, again, I can't say too much more about the guy. He is one half of the tag team champions as well. The French Connection are the tag team champions in this promotion. Cormac O'Reilly. His brother is also in the promotion, Fergal O'Reilly, who we'll see. Who I actually prefer the render of Fergal O'Reilly, but I'm not hating on Cormac. Irish worker, lightweight. They made the move to Canada. I believe they had a bit of success on the UK scene, but they wanted to spread their wings and take it to North America, which is a shame for the UK scene because they're a decent tag team. Pretty average in the ring, 28 years of age again, so he's got time to improve and get to a level which he could, take it out as a singles competitor in his own right. I think, again, pretty decent. I think the 2CW roster in general has a lot of young talent which can be developed, whereas we've seen in other promotions such as the SWC and even to a lesser extent Showtime Wrestling. AWF as well, actually. All the promotions we've covered up to this point have quite a few aged workers on their roster who you'd be looking to eventually phase out. And not in a negative way because they can't do the job anymore, though they might not be able to do it at the level that they once could. But you want to bring the young talent. Fortunately, 2CW have kind of got a dearth of talent. Is that the word I'm looking for? I don't think it is. They've got a wealth of talent, that young talent specifically, that can be developed and create future main eventers, if not for themselves, which would almost be a certainty, but for other companies when they come knocking on the door. The tag team name is the O'Reillys, by the way. It's quite unoriginal, but you can't have everyone having ridiculous tag team names. Move on now to Courageous T. Very extravagant cruiserweight competitor, so he's got lots of flips in his arsenal. Very low down on the card, lower mid-carder. Not bad, not bad. Better than, or I prefer him to Angel Romero. Short term, don't see much for him, but again, I'll give him a chance to shine, see how he'll do in the matches on a long term, over a long period of time, so I can take my sample and see how good he is over an extended period of time, and whether or not he would be able to basically progress up the card. Move on now to Curtis Vedder, Mr. By the Book, as he goes by. He is very much an old school throwback in terms of not necessarily his look, but his attitude and approach to things. Consummate professional, if I recall correctly. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure he's one of the better men to have backstage to boost the morale. Unfortunately, though, because of that, he's been kind of pegged as a permanent mid-carder. You can see from the stats, he has some decent mat wrestling and chain wrestling, which is important in 2CW to have good in-ring basics, seeing as they're more the kind of NWA as opposed to WWE. So you've got the kind of people who have the ability in the ring, not necessarily who are able to cut the best promos. Doesn't mean that they can't, it just means that that's not the focus, that's not the main priority. And unfortunately for Curtis Vedder, it's the fact that he sticks to that description and summary of what they require to the point where he hasn't been able to go beyond his current status of mid-carder or upper mid-carder, as it's listed here in the data. Which is a shame, because I think he's okay. Now, Donald Michaels, this is the man, as I said earlier, that the NWA came knocking for. They were interested in hiring his services. Now, whether they would offer him a written contract, I don't know. There's not much I can do about it if they have, to be fair, because I've got him. Well, in fact, they must have done, because I've got him down as an exclusive PPA. So Donald Michaels, I will say I haven't seen Donald Michaels leave when I've done test games myself. Obviously, because he's still got the role of being booker, and I think in fact it's his brother that owns the company. So he's pretty happy to stay here for the most part. But again, obviously, I've kind of taken him out of the job and just left him with the role of being manager, who has no clients at this point in time. A lot of people are pegging him to be one of the better bookers going forward. That was just a little side note for you there. Move on now to the 2CW Canadian champion, Mr. Donnie Diamond. He is also the leader of the faction known as the Division. Well-schooled technician in his own right. I mean, if you look at the technical stats, they're pretty damn good. Chain wrestling, mat wrestling, and submissions, all in the Bs. Basics B, psychology C+. He is 36 years of age. Not the youngest, but not the oldest. And he's got very good consistency. So it's understandable to see him in the main event scene. And I can't blame 2CW for putting the title belt on him. And I would say that because I put the title belt on him myself because I made the data. But you'll excuse me if I drift into periods of time where I don't act as if I actually made the data myself. Very much a case of being a main eventer until he starts to decrease. I can't see any reason why he'd dip down the card unless he eventually left and moved on to... I don't think necessarily the AWF would take him because his microphone charisma aren't particularly great, and they do have other people who could do the in-ring stuff that he can do here. So I think he might always be a relatively big fish in a limited sized pond. Not necessarily a bad thing, but it just means that it will hurt your bottom line at the end of each tax year. Ooh, tell you what, that's not something you want to talk about when you're looking at a wrestling game, is it? The bottom line and taxes. I apologise for that. I brought this upon us. Move on now to Mr. Drake Lancaster. Again, a very good technical wrestler, and again a guy who's in his late 20s, so a potential future replacement for the likes of the Donnie Diamonds of the 2CW roster. I think he's pretty entertaining as far as what he can do in the ring, not necessarily on the microphone, which isn't bad, to be fair, in general, I think he's got decent abilities there. And he's also one half of the tag team, the Calgary Kids. Now, Mr. Drew Dini. Drew Dini. Nice bit of facial fuzzage coming out of his chin. An American. From what I recall about this gentleman, he is pretty high on the roster in terms of who gets placed pretty well, close enough to the main event, if not the main event itself. And from looking here, I can see that I was right. He is being pushed as a main event, and he is just over the age of 30. Someone I could see definitely feuding with Donnie Diamond pretty early on, and that might be the storyline that I end up going with for the show. Again, we're going to get dinged for not having the starting storylines, but again, I'll add that in shortly. After the video, of course, not while we're here. Although I will set the storylines up in the game, but not in the data itself. It's a lot of information for you. Just take your time, take a couple of seconds, drink it all in. You got it? We good? Let's continue. Move on now to Elix Hurt, whose brother Ezekiel Hurt is also in the promotion, and they're a very good tag team. I think there's a bit of a storyline here that they wanted to be trained by Gregory Adorn, and they kind of went against his philosophy on wrestling and kind of took a negative gimmick. They're not particularly bad people as individuals, personality-wise, but that's the kind of what they've hung their hats on in terms of getting a reputation. I believe the tag team's the Hurt Factory. I could be wrong. Yes, they are the Hurt Factory, as I can see in the bio there. 34 years of age, not the youngest, and I don't think their abilities are particularly great, but very good tag team, and the arrogant heel thing I think works for Elix Hurt pretty well. I have to see what we do with them though long term, I'm not entirely sure. Ernest Mack, he's 35 years of age, so around about the Donnie Diamond age bracket. Again, with good chain wrestling and mat wrestling submissions. Basics and psychology are okay. Consistency is okay, as well as selling. Upper mid-carder, kind of in a similar position to the Curtis Vedder. I mean, Ernest Mack looks like he'd be more charismatic, but I don't see any more upside in Ernest Mack than I do. I've forgotten his name already. I just said it a second ago. That's terrible. I've lost him on the list as well. Where is he? Oh, where are you, little bastard? Curtis Vedder. Bloody hell. I looked past him about 3-4 times and I still couldn't pick him out. But I'd have to see. Again, the people that I don't see potential in the short term doesn't necessarily mean they won't get a push down the road. But I'd have to see how they're able to perform on when it counts. Because if we've got people like, I can't believe I'm bringing him up again, but Big Ron Johnson just shitting the bed left, right and centre like an infant, it'd be hard to get behind them. But I'm willing to give Ernest Mack a chance. He's certainly not someone that I'd get rid of from the roster. He's a good hand to keep around. And we move on to the brother of Elix Hurt, Mr. Ezekiel Hurt, also a technician, significantly younger than his brother by the looks of things. I didn't realise the age gap was that significant. I think that might be an error, actually, if I'm being honest with you. Because I think Elix Hurt... Yeah, maybe I did. Maybe I did mean to do that. I'll have to have a look in the data to see if that kind of makes sense, because I thought they're relatively close age-wise. I could be wrong, but it's been a while since I've looked at 2CW. Again, it's not a massive problem, to be perfectly honest. He's got a lot more upside as a result than Elix Hurt. I think Ezekiel was actually supposed to be the elder brother, but again, I could be way off base here. As you can see a little bit in his bio, it mentions the Adorn feud. I think it was in this bio. It could have been. Yeah. Let's just read this excerpt here for you. The Hurt Factory are a team who have taken to professional wrestling like ducks to water, having been inspired by Gregory Adorn. So whilst they are able to do the technical aspects of wrestling to a pretty high standard, they also bring the attitude, which is something that a lot of the Gregory Adorn graduated or House of Adorn graduated workers don't really possess. Fergal O'Reilly, we saw his brother earlier on, one half of the O'Reilly tag team. I prefer this gentleman to his brother. That is not a slight on his brother at all. But I prefer the look, to be honest with you. I think he's a got a better look about him. His talent level is on a similar standing to that of his brothers. So for that reason alone, he'd likely get more of a kind of push than I think his brother would should they split up. Unlucky Cormac, but yeah, I think the O'Reillys are are they my favourite tag team in this company? Them or the French Connection, or the Calgary Kids. It's a very good promotion for tag teams, I have to say. Anyway, we'll move on from Mr. O'Reilly to Floyd Henderson. Wrestling machine, 34 years of age, upper mid-carder, in the mould of Curtis Vedder and your Ernest Max. He'd do well at passing on knowledge to the youngsters who he'd be working with, so that for that reason alone he'd be worth sticking in the mid-card scene for the foreseeable future. Failing that, he could always work the dark matches. James Avatar, that's me. By the way, I was trying to stifle a yawn and a hiccup a moment ago, so that's why I sound like it. Yeah. It's fine. That's not a medical thing. That's just me trying to remain polite for the audience. And each and every one of you is important to me. I think I'd like to stress that. Jared Jones, an all-Canadian. Basically a play on being all-American, which is a very important part of collegiate wrestling, which I know a little bit about. Not fluent in collegiate wrestling, but I thought it would be quite interesting to have an all-Canadian who actually competed in the Olympics in the data terms and in his bio, which of course gives him a step up in terms of chain wrestling and mat wrestling, and he is someone who I would probably give the title to and hope that his lack of microphone and charisma wouldn't hold him back. And in 2CW, as they're more traditional based, I don't think it would. I think he'd be a fantastic champion, and in fact it could well be that I decide to put him in the title feud with Donnie Diamond. I'm very tempted to do that, in fact. We'll see what I do when it comes to the storylines. Now, Jason Carolexis, interesting half red crop of hair, interesting facial hair, interesting face, interesting ears, and he has a very peculiar thing on his elbow. He doesn't, I'm talking nonsense, of course. He's, again, around the late 20s, a cruiserweight competitor. You'll notice a lot of them in 2CW. Very good high-flying and performance. Decent in terms of entertainment and camera, but nothing special. I would like to think that he would go pretty far for me, and you'd hope that his skill set would reflect how far I think he could go. I'd hope that the AWF wouldn't come in for him and take him. I haven't seen them do that, but I wouldn't rule it out, because the AWF, I think, with Adam Sutherland being in charge and being of 72 years of age, I think it was, if I recall correctly, he wouldn't be around too much longer as far as, retaining control himself. And when that would pass to Richard, his son, I think this is the kind of person that Richard would be more likely to bring in. And that would probably ring alarm bells for a lot of the promotions in North America and Mexico as well, which, as I've said previously, the AWF tries to reach into pay-per-view market almost immediately, within a couple of days to a week. Move on now to Jean-Pierre Rougeau. Now, he is... I know I said Captain Canada was Mr. Canada, but this guy, if he isn't classed as that, is almost he has to be considered the next best thing. And by next best thing, I don't mean a young star, because we can see he's 40 years of age there. I'm not being stupid, but he is just fantastic. And even though he's a main event heel, I can imagine him being such a good heel that people can't help but cheer for him. And we can see from the statistics there. I mean, the basics 91 for psychology, we have 84. He's absolutely out of this world. Not to the extent of like a Mr. Flawless, but he is Canada's equivalent, I would say, of Mr. Flawless. Just plays an old school heel, nothing flashy about him, but he just brings absolute fantastic technical ability. And a feud between him and the gentleman that we saw moments ago, Jared Jones, with the technical kind of war of technical experts, I guess we'd call it. I don't know what we'd call that feud, but I can just see it now. It's like artistry on a ring canvas. It would just be wonderful, and I think that's the feud I'm now going to have to do. So well done, Troy Dini. You're back in the main event by the looks of things. Now we move on to Jerome De Rossi. Part of the French Connection, we saw his partner earlier. I think, again, he's got a lot of upside for the short term. Very good tag team worker, but look out main event scene. I could see this guy getting there within a couple of years, most likely. Kendall Harper, I think he's part of the tag team, the Calgary Kids. He is, as we can see in the bio. 27 years of age, although he is only an enhancement talent. I think he's possibly the youngest worker we've seen on the roster. I think actually, was Ezekiel Hurt 26? Let me just double check that for you. He was 26. Okay, so the second youngest worker on the roster. There we go. We get back to him. No, we don't. Pretty interesting look. Very manicured facial hair. Not too sure what the front thing is on his head, but it's fine. That's what he wants to do. He can do it. If he and his tag team partner were to break up, which is a scenario that I play in my head for most tag teams, because likely they're not going to stay as a tag team forever, I think Drake Lancaster would do better, but actually does. Kendall Harper is more entertaining, but Drake Lancaster has got the better skill set. So again, yeah, I'll stick with my guns and say that Drake Lancaster will be the breakout star of the two. Prove me wrong when the data comes out. Now the monstrous Landslide plays a bodyguard, super heavyweight, so by far the biggest competitor in the promotion, and very similar to Big Ron Johnson in the fact that he is the heavy for the division. Landslide doesn't annoy me like Big Ron Johnson does. I don't expect much from Landslide, to be fair, either. And he's not in the biggest promotion in the world and being pushed as a main eventer. He's a mid-carder, so I see Landslide taking falls, or taking losses, but not necessarily pinfalls. I can see disqualifications, countouts, because it'd be just, I think it'd be very rare that the Landslide would lose by a clean pinfall. I think just someone who would be that physically imposing, whether he's necessarily the best worker in the world, which his stats would clearly indicate that he is not, I think it should still be rare that the giants like Landslide should lose cleanly in that respect, so then it will mean more, and it kind of dismisses them otherwise. A bit like Big Show syndrome, and we've seen him lose so many times that the awe factor isn't quite there like it probably should be. And it's something that helped Andre the Giant's career. If we saw Andre losing every one out of every, even like 10 matches that took place, it wouldn't mean as much. He has to lose once in a blue moon. I think he only lost, I know he did the retirement tour where he lost in Mexico, and he lost in Japan to Inoki, and he lost obviously to Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania 3. And I think that's the kind of role that these individuals are fit for. And not to say that they can't do other things, but that's just my personal opinion on how I see them. Now moving on to Juster. Oh, look at the beard. Just want to run your fingers through the bastard. With a bald head as well, so it's great. Very, very tall worker, 47 years of age, going by the name of Lumberjack. Had a brief stint in the AWF in the 90s, so look out if we do a retro mod. Upper mid-carder, big heavyweight. Imagine Giant Redwood if he had talent. That's pretty much what we're looking at with Lumberjack. I think he'd be quite fun to... In fact, a feud with him and Landslide, whilst it would be absolutely garbage, it would be pretty entertaining for me as a booker, I would think. And who knows, I might actually put that on the show, even though it would absolutely kill anything that was going well on the show up to that point. Move on now to Marcel Fortier, former member of the Canadian National Army, upper mid-carder, got the Armed Forces gimmick, although he doesn't have the face paint and the camo display as quite as proudly as you have in the AWF with Sergeant Extreme and Major Awesome, but his fundamentals are fantastic. I think mid-card is round about where I'd see him. Main event scene in the future, possibly. Yeah, it's very much a case of having to see how things play out in each save, and obviously what's the word I'm looking for? The capabilities for them to develop as workers will vary on a game-by-game basis, because I don't preset anything like that. I'm not even sure if certain aspects of that can be preset, but I don't do that. I just give you the stats, what they're good at now, and then however the game develops from there, so be it. Just referee number 1, Charles Turridge. Referee number 2, Toby Toby Carlton, yeah, that's right. Also, got very similar hair to Mr. Cormac O'Reilly. Slightly different, but similar design. Yeah, I like it. And we skip a person. We go now to Ruben Sparks. Very young in pro wrestling. He was actually introduced as part of the division, so he's like the Wolf Hawkins of the Syndicate. There's potential there. It's very, very early on to see if he would, get anywhere near the level that the Wolf Hawkins of the Cornellverse is currently at. But it'd be certainly something that I think would be fun to try and make manifest. I think he's got potential and a lot of it. We like potential. Potential? Potential what? Fun thing. Anyway, Sean Del Rey, the shooter. He actually might put him in a feud with Donny Diamond. We might actually already have starting storylines, so my thought process for all these might be in vain. I don't think we do though, but Sean Del Rey would be a pretty decent champion because I said so, and that's my bottom line. I'm trying to compare him in terms of like a Jared Jones. I think I do prefer Jared Jones, but Sean Del Rey is very close second in terms of what he can do. I think. I'm trying to think, who would I likely have to take the title off Donny Diamond? I don't know. I think I'd see how I felt on a week-by-week basis, and obviously whichever pay-per-view I'm building up to, see what felt right at the time, what served storyline purposes, and what made sense. But he'd definitely be in the crop of potential champions in the future. I'm doing this hand again. I don't know what this is. Is it medication? Am I on medication? Should I be on medication? Should I? Anyway, Simon Michaels. This is the owner of the company. We saw his brother earlier, Donald Michaels. He's pretty savvy in terms of business. He knows how to keep his promotion in the positive, in the money, we'll say, in the black. Yeah, in the black. We just use him as an authority figure. If that, I wouldn't even have him really appear in the ring. At least not for the show that I'm going to book in a second. Smith Arringer. Announcer. Next. Sullivan Fortune, tag team partner, I believe was Kane Gordon, part of the New School. 34 years of age, middling in everything, doesn't really stand out. Has, I think, a pretty decent look about him, and that's why his star quality would reflect the B-. This is probably about as good as it'll get from Mr. Fortune if he were to main event in a promotion the size of 2CW. Solid tag team worker though, and I certainly wouldn't say no to a title match or two as a singles competitor, but again, have to play it by ear. Now Victor Leslie, probably the individual I care about the least in this promotion, if I'm being perfectly honest. Former businessman, turned to pro wrestling as he thought he could do it. He can do it to a certain extent. He's 37. I'd be honest with you, I might even cut him from the promotion entirely, and I think I'd bring in someone else. Sorry, Victor Leslie, I'm just being honest with you. You boring piece of crap. Move on now to Wild Style. It's a good afro. Very good afro. We've got a couple of good afros actually in this promotion. Just a bit of a crazy cruiserweight. On par with the Courageous T, but probably a bit more reckless, if anything. In fact, that'd be quite an interesting tag team to put together, Courageous T and Wild Style. I like Wild Style, though. Certainly nowhere near the main event scene, nor will he be, possibly ever. But as a flippy-floppy cruiserweight in the company, I think that's pretty decent. You get what you pay for with him. All $798 per show, according to his contract. Which is a daredevil, which stands to good reason based on what I said. So that is the roster of 2CW. That would have been new for all of you, apart from those that have seen the data already. I really, really like this roster. There are very few that I can think that, from top to bottom, bar Victor Leslie, competes with that as far as interesting characters and ideas for what I'd do with them. There's pretty much everyone on the roster I can think of something that I'd want to do with them. Obviously, some would be bigger ambitions than others, but they're all, like I said, the only one who I'd even consider getting rid of is Victor Leslie. And I think that's pretty good, because in some of the other promotions we've covered, there are people that I've flat out said that I would want to phase out almost entirely. So yes, we will now close that. We will have a look at the storylines. I just want to check there aren't any. There aren't, that's fine, that's what I thought. That's fine, I've already kind of shot a few ideas back and forth and let it percolate in the old noggin. Have a look at the titles. Again, beautiful title renders courtesy of MJ Stark, just fantastic work here. Absolutely captured everything I wanted him to with this title. And as we can see, Donnie Diamond is the 2CW, Canadian champion. And the 2CW Canadian Tag Team Champion are Christophe Paternoster and Jerome De Rossi, the French Connection. Again, lovely title belt. So, we'll change the title histories, don't worry about this. Nearly click vacate title, that would have been pretty much where we started with SWC, as I forgot to start them with champions right off the bat, which has now been amended, letting you into a little inside secret, looking behind the curtain of the creative flavour. Right, now let us have a look at the stables. I think it's only the division, and I was right. So we've got Christophe Paternoster, Donnie Diamond, Jerome De Rossi, Landslide and Ruben Sparks. So all the titles in 2CW are currently held by division members. Very syndicate-like. Probably why I like it so much, being that TCW is my favourite promotion in the Cornellverse. Let us have a look at Creative Meeting. Hey, franchise players. No real surprises there. We've got Captain Canada. In fact, no surprises at all. Captain Canada, Jean-Pierre Rougeau, Sean Del Rey, Donnie Diamond and Jared Jones. Next big things, no one. Now that's a problem for a company that's got quite a lot of young talent, to have no one appear on the next big things list. I can't remember quite what the age cutoff is, so comments below if you can recall off the top of your head. But I would have thought that we'd have at least one or two people on the next big things. I mean, certainly like a Ruben Sparks I'd expect to be in there, or would hope to be in there. But anyway, hot prospects, Ruben Sparks, Cormac O'Reilly, Jerome De Rossi, Fergal O'Reilly and Kendall Harper. Interesting that both the O'Reilly boys are potential hot prospects. Talk the Talk, Captain Canada, Kane Gordon, Sullivan Fortune, Chester Hamilton and Ernest Mack. So Donnie Diamond, the champion, isn't even on the Talk the Talk list, but again, 2CW isn't too bothered by that. Showstoppers, Captain Canada, Ernest Mack, Jean-Pierre Rougeau, Donnie Diamond and Sean Del Rey. Ernest Mack surprises me that he's that high up there, so good for him. Ring Generals, Jean-Pierre Rougeau, Donnie Diamond, Floyd Henderson, Captain Canada, Sean Del Rey. That is what I expected. Who's hot? No one. Again. Showtime syndrome now. That's what happened in was it Showtime? We had no one being hot. I think it was in for the video that I did for Showtime Wrestling, which was episode number 13, if I recall correctly. No one appeared in the Who's Hot, and the champion and a lot of the higher ups on the card were on the Who's Not. So fingers crossed, and I mean seriously, cross your fingers now, cross your toes, cross your testicles, cross your eyes, cross everything. Let's hope that we have little to nobody on the Who's Not list. Apart from Sean Del Rey, I can live with that. That's okay. That's okay. So we don't have anyone who's hot, but we don't have anyone who's not. Well, apart from Sean Del Rey, who's a main player right off the bat. Time Decline, Lumberjack and Donnie Diamond. Donnie Diamond at the age of 36. We've got Captain Canada, who's 40. Jean-Pierre Rougeau, who's 40, but Donnie Diamond's on the Time Decline list. Can't catch a break, can I? Have a quick look at the hidden gems, but again, as I've said in previous videos, this is still being fleshed out. So we have Troy Bellow, CJ Hunter, Clayton Purdy, Tony Johns and Voorhees. Okie dokie. Let's close that. We will quickly put the storylines together. So the name of the storyline, it was going to be Diamond in the Rough. But no, we're not going to do that. We're going to spell it right as well. Diamond versus Who did I want to put in the title match? There's a few that I narrowed it down to. Sean Del Rey, was that who I was going to go for? There's Troy Dini, not Troy Dini. Can't remember his name now. Right, we'll go with. Let's have a look at the list. That'll remind me. Come on, Scott, use your bloody head. Drew Dini, that was it. Troy Dini's a football player. Don't worry. Actual football, not American football. Don't you get me started. I believe he was closer down to the bottom part of the list. Maybe he wasn't. Maybe it was Sean Del Rey I was thinking of. Yeah, I think it was. We'll go Sean Del Rey. Will we? Will we? Yes. Yes, we will. Or click on Simon Michaels. Close enough. Useless boy. So we'll go with Del Rey. So Sean Del Rey, Donny. Wonderful. Again, this will get dinged. Don't worry about it though, we're only doing the one show. We will have Tag Team Champions, Christoph Paternoster and Jerome De Rossi go up against. And what the O'Reillys. We like the O'Reillys. They're both on the Future Stars list, so we'll go for them. Fergal. Can't think how to spell that. F is for Fergal. That'll be on my new gangster rap CD out this Christmas. Right, so start storyline. We'll just put FC versus O'Reillys. Start storyline. They're not required to run any storylines, so I'm not going to get dinged. So I was talking out my backside then, but I've set up 2 storylines now anyway. So what? Sue me. Don't sue me. I don't have anything worth taking. But you know, hopefully in a few years' time, you'll be seeing me on a proper camera with a proper microphone and all the right gear, streaming videos about this kind of stuff. You know, the stuff I love. Right. Okay. So we'll do that. That's fine. And let's run a show. Let's book this biatch. Louisa Castaneda, we saw her from our Showtime video. Let me maximise your face. Let me auto book venue, yes. Sorry for the dang there. That was unfortunate. Lovely banner as well, I do have to say. 82% rating backstage, very nice. Got a lot of relatives on the roster, 2 brother tag teams. Now let us book. 2 hours, that's fine. I'm not worried about this like I was with Showtime. Or 2CW, not 2CW, SWC, apologies. Add match. Singles match. I don't even know what I'm doing, I'm already clicking things. Let's see what I put. Okay. Right click. I'm learning. We'll have Captain Canada go up against. I don't know. A lot of faces up here. Let's see upper mid carders then. I want you to be a heel, whoever you are. Lumberjack. It's got like a USPW match written all over it. It's great. We'll auto name that. We will not have this go long. 8 minutes. I'll let the computer decide this one. This will be the first one that I let the computer decide right off the bat. Not assign a road agent. What do you mean I haven't assigned a road agent? Who's the road agent? Who is the road agent? Is it not, what was the owner? Hey, wasn't Donald. Wasn't Donald at all. It was the guy who I haven't got on the roster. Okay, for just now, I'll put Sean Del Rey. I will quickly have a look at the roster. and I will put the former owner of the company, not Donald. Where's the other Michael? Simon Michaels. Authority figure. See, I thought you could do well, maybe not. Who's the best suited for road agent? I might give it to someone like a Floyd Henderson, actually, just because I think he'd do a pretty good job of it. We'll do Floyd Henderson for now. Okay, so we'll modify this segment. On it auto. Nah, apparently not. Yeah, go away. We will put Floyd Henderson there because he probably won't get on the show otherwise, to be quite honest. And even this won't get him on the show. So we'll go Floyd Henderson. I really thought they had a road agent off the bat. I could be very mistaken, and clearly I am, otherwise I've set up something wrong. Anyway, we'll put tag team title match, let's go for. I don't usually defend titles too often outside of the pay-per-view events, or if it's a monthly show, a monthly event. But we'll make a change, we'll make an exception on this one. We'll put the French Connection and the O'Reillys, who they are feuding with. Lovely jubbly. Auto name. We'll have that go 12. I think 12 seems reasonable. Yeah, that's fine. Put the titles on the line. Again, no road agent, so we'll just go for Floyd. Okay, so winner, chicken dinner. Have the champions retain the title. It will be an open match. It will be a scripted match. And it will be a pinfall finish. So this will just give you a flavour of what could be done in this little ditty of a promotion. Save. That'll definitely go on after Captain Canada and Lumberjack. Main event. What I'm tempted to do is have a similar kind of match that I had in AWF, where I teamed Big Ron Johnson with the champion Richie Platinum. So I'm tempted to have Donnie Diamond team with Landslide in the main event and take on two challengers. I don't think I will though. Let's go for something a bit more original. Might do a triple threat match. I don't think I've done a multi-person match like that, apart from the AWF flippy match and little throwaway things like that. We'll put the main eventers though in there. I think we'll have a triple threat main event. Why not? So you've got your Donnie Diamond. Might put Drew Dini there, and Shooter Sean Del Rey. I think I might have the champion lose, but the title won't be on the line. So have that go, say 18 minutes. Change the winner to be, give Sean Del Rey the rub. We will have Drew Dini lose. Might have Drew Dini lose so Donnie Diamond doesn't take the pinfall. Open match. And I'll leave the rest up to fate, as it were. Yeah, no, it's not on the line. There's no road agent. Come on, Floyd, for fuck's sake, step up to the plate. Okay. Excuse my French. Or, excuse my French Canadian. Sorry, that was a little excessive. Save that. Again, we know, thank you. I'm going to have just what I think will be a fantastic match. We will go exclude booked. We will have Jean-Pierre Rougeau. Fortunately, with a promotion like this, I don't think they're looking for many angles, so it can be a very wrestling-heavy show, which is great. And just a few like little bits and pieces to keep it all gelled together and flow smoothly. Okay, I think I'm losing my mind. Already lost it, some could say. and Jared Jones. I think I'll let the veteran Jean-Pierre Rougeau go over on this occasion. Not that they're both not well versed at this point, with Jared Jones being 34. I don't really want a road agent for this. I want them to call this in the ring, because I think they've got more than enough capabilities of doing that. Tempted to have this go on main event. Okay, Floyd agent, road agent, Floyd agent, Floyd Henderson. Okay, it's going to be an open match. Jean-Pierre Rougeau winning. Again, apologies for this, it's just a force of habit for me. It'll be an open match. And I see this match being, this promotion using a lot of finishes where it's pretty clean. So it will end with pinfall. Now, do I want that to be the main event? I'm going to say yeah. I'm going to say yes. I know I'm breaking a rule that I created myself in my head, but hey. So it must book at least 53 more minutes to proceed. Let's get another tag team match on here. I might change the times of some of these matches as well. Before I forget, I'll just put Floyd in right off the bat. Right. Teams. The Hurt Factory against either the New School or the Calgary Kids. I think we'll go New School. And I think I'll have the New School win as well. So Kane Gordon will have go over. We'll have Elix Herx is the first name. Again, open match, we want it to be competitive. I forgot to have Call in the ring for the main event, so I'll go back and change that. And we'll leave the rest up to fate. Again, like I said in previous videos, and probably this one as well, if again I was looking at a long-term game, I'd be going into the minutiae and the tiniest of details into setting this up how I wanted, but I just want to give you an overall taste and vibe and feel for the promotion, so that's why I'm not spending too much time worrying about the little things as I would usually, to be honest with you. I might have that go on before Captain Canada and Lumberjacks. I don't want them to see that match and go, done, let's go home, don't want to see any more of this shite. Let's quickly, before we forget, modify this. Put a couple of extra minutes on that actually. Change and call it ring. Slow build. Let's do a slow build as well, let's really see what they can do. Call in ring. Cool. Another 37 minutes needed. Might not even need to put any angles on at all, and if that's the case, I don't think I will. Let's just see what matches we can get out of the roster. Let's put Courageous T in a match. Jason Carolexis. Now, as I prefer Carolexis, we'll have him go over. Probably go 8 minutes. Actually, I'll put Jean-Pierre Rougeau as the road agent as well for some of these, seeing as that would be the obvious choice. I just felt bad for Floyd, really. Free Floyd Henderson, that's what we say. Jason Carolexis. Loser. Courageous T. Not going to specify on how the match finishes, that's what I want to happen. That'll probably go on before that. 27 minutes. Let's have another singles match. We'll have Ernest Mack take on, I think I might have Landslide like in a, I don't know, a multi-man match and just have him kill a couple of people. So it needs to be a heel anyway. Actually no, we'll get Floyd Henderson on the card, because I don't want Victor Leslie on the card. So there you go. So auto name, have this go 12. Ernest Mack will win. Sorry Floyd. Again, we won't specify the rest. No, we will. We want it open. Happy with that. Happy days. Sunday, Monday, happy days indeed. Jean-Pierre Rougeau. think that's everything. I think that's everything. Right, we'll have this go on. Yeah, let's put it on before the Captain Canada shut show. Shut show? Shut show! Shit show is what I was trying to say. Right, 13 more minutes. Let's have a multi-person cluster F. Or not. That's the one we wanted. Get 4 people in this cluster. So we'll put Angel Romero, Curtis Vedder, Landslide, who we want to win it, and Wildstar, I think. And I'll go 10, because I think that's what's needed. Not the wisest decision. Let's have Jean-Pierre try and apply a bit of road agent skill to this. I think I did mean to put Jean-Pierre as being able to do the road agent stuff, but I could be wrong. Victor Landslide, I'll leave the rest up to fate. And there we go. You don't need any segments as far as angles, which is new. This alien to me. I mean, even in shows where you don't need them, I usually put them in, but just as it's a pure wrestling company, let's see what they can do in the ring where it counts. Okay, so let's hit save. I'm happy with the auto venue wherever it's selected. And let's get 2CW traditional combat up and running. Run show. Yes, that's why I clicked it. Let's run it. D+. In a match that had an average crowd reaction and some decent in-ring action, Landslide defeated Angel Romero, Curtis Vedder and Wildstar in 9 minutes 32, when Landslide defeated Wildstar by pinfall with an avalanche. 2,000 people at the Varsity Arena. Pretty good turnout. Not a bad opener, not the worst. In a match that had an average crowd reaction and some decent in-ring action, Jason Carroll defeated Courageous T in 7 minutes 36 by pinfall with a Carnage Crush. Now I'm hoping that the matches will get slightly better up until we hit the Captain Canada Captain Canada and Lumberjack match, and then that will drop the crowd a little bit and then build it back up to what will hopefully be a fantastic main event. That's the hope anyway. Well, we're heading in the right direction. So we've got, in a match that had some good action and average heat, the New School defeated the Hurt Factory in 12 minutes 10 when Kane Gordon defeated Elix Hurt by pinfall with a caned and disabled. Wow, that did really well. So in a bout that had a good crowd and good action, Ernest Mack defeated Floyd Henderson in 11 minutes 53 by pinfall with a mark of excellence. Now, I might have been a bit harsh on Floyd Henderson if he and Ernest Mack can pull this kind of match out, because I was kind of down on both of them, and by far the best match so far. Wow, that didn't even tank as much as I thought it would. In a bout that had a good crowd and some decent in-ring action, Lumberjack defeated Captain Canada in 8 minutes 29 by pinfall with a timber. And as I said, I let the computer decide this, and it was pretty good. Captain Canada and Lumberjack have great chemistry. It's broken. The London effect is broken for this. Oh, I've spoken too early. The main event hasn't happened yet. I didn't say that. We'll rewind that, pretend it didn't happen. Okay, now we've got the French Connection defeating the O'Reillys in a match that I was hoping would do better. Maybe this is the one that's going to bring the crowd down. Anyway, so we have, in a match that had an average crowd reaction and some decent in-ring action, French Connection defeated the O'Reillys in 12 minutes 26 seconds when Christophe Paternoster defeated Cormac O'Reilly by pinfall with a Model Citizen. French Connection made defence number 4 of their 2CW Canadian Tag Team titles. Speak too soon, look what happens. Christophe Paternoster was really off his game tonight. Jerome De Rossi was really off his game tonight. There were times where a definite lack of psychology. That's my fault, because I didn't put the scripted information. That's a shame. My fault, though. Oh, pretty good. In a bout that had great heat and great wrestling action, Sean Del Rey defeated Donnie Diamond and Drew Dini in 18 minutes 12 when Sean Del Rey defeated Drew Dini by submission with a heel hook. Drew Dini seemed off his game tonight. They've still got a B-, so I'm pretty happy with that. And I think it's just the main event left now, so fingers crossed we get a good grade. Just rewind to that bit where I said the London effect's broken. And come back here. I'll wait for you. Go on. It's still here, isn't it? Still here. Jean-Pierre Rougeau and Jared Jones just don't seem to click at all, and it showed in their performance. That's a shame. That is a shame. But defeated him by pinfall doesn't even say what the finishing move was. Probably because his finishing move's a submission, having said that, so that'll probably explain it. Yeah, that's a shame. He doesn't have the ability to call off matches in the ring. Alright, Floyd, just because you pulled the best match on the show, you prick. Well, there you go. This show increased our popularity in 16 regions. So for all my bitching and moaning at the end and, you know, the hilarity that ensued with the London effect kicking in, a decent show which improved our popularity in 16 regions. So that, you can't argue with that. I think that's pretty damn good. And as you can see with 2CW, you don't need to run any promos at all if that is not what you want to do. It's feasible. It is feasible. Quickly have a look at Jamari Hassan as it loads to the next screen. And that is pretty much everything I was going to show you here in 2CW. I hope you've enjoyed the content of this video and having a look at a promotion that you haven't had the opportunity to see before. We'll just wait for the screen to load. But thank you very much for tuning in. If you have liked the video, please hit that like button and subscribe, that'd be fantastic. And I'll see you next time on the Tour of the Londonverse for episode 5. For episode 6 in fact, this was episode 5. We'll see you next time for episode 6, and thanks for stopping by.